So then eventually we do reach the crowd at the entrance, which triggers a series of elaborate cutscenes.
Oh, man.
To introduce us.
This was so good.
To the gold saucer. Okay.
This cutscene is in engine. It's not a pre-rendered one.
Right. This is in engine.
Yeah.
I kind of want to hear Ernest's opinion before I give mine.
Yeah, let's hear Ernest talk about it.
Ernest, please tell us your opinion about this whole sequence of events.
I absolutely loved it. Like, it was so over the top and so good. And there were two things that came into my mind like the minute this thing kicked off. Is number one, it was like a James Brown concert, right? Like the pizzazz of it.
The guy who's like, I feel good.
Yeah.
Good
man. And then combined with like the intro sequence to Iron Man 2.
Oh, yeah, when he lands and he's all like, hey, it does feel like that, actually.
And they got like Shoot to Thrill playing in the background. And like, I mean, it was over the top.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is so good. And of course, it's Vegas, right? So performers, like, this is like entertainment. It's so over the top. And I get it. Like, you know, a person who's not used to that might be like, oh, roll their eyes. Oh, wow, this is crazy. But no, this is exactly what you expect in a place like Vegas. And
so you were all in. You were like bought in.
Oh, I was all in. The choreographed dance
You're like
moves.
spectacle, dance moves. Everything is like awesome.
Oh, it was so good, especially when Andrea showed up.
Yeah, I knew you would love the Andrea part.
Oh my God. For some reason, I love that dude. I don't know what it is, but like,
it's cool. I like Andrea.
It's great. No, I like Andrea.
His like persona, and just like, if I had to like sum it up, he's the consummate entertainer.
Totally.
He's all in it for the entertainment, like a diva.
He got outdanced in like 5 seconds by a non-dancer, so he sucks apparently.
Yeah, they ran him off. But it was like that whole like dancer and backup dancer kind of mechanic that you would have like in a live show for like a popular pop star or whatever. Like all of it was there. It was like Taylor Swift and Britney Spears and Iron Man 2 and James Brown. Like, they threw it all in there. And I was like, wow, this is
And you were
just
like a fan.
Oh, I loved it. It was
You were a big fan. Okay, cool. I think most people had the reaction that you had.
Yeah.
As you might imagine, my reaction was a little bit different.
Oh, man.
We're just salty in this house.
I know.
I was going to say.
I'll talk about my opinions after Jolie.
Yeah, okay. So let me explain kind of what happens in the sequence of dancing and whatnot. And I'll let you know along the way kind of how I feel about it. And Spencer, I'll definitely want your opinions as well. So as Yuffie and the girls like push their way through the crowd, then Kate Sith, who is this cat, who we've kind of seen a little bit of before now, but this is like this big reveal of him. He appears with a bunch of dancers, bunch of confetti. It's like a big spectacle, right, to kick off this celebration that is the Gold Saucer and people coming to the Gold Saucer. And he shoots some confetti orbs from his megaphone that then like turn into the mascots for this place. I think it's a cactuar, a tonberry, which is hilarious, and a fat chocobo, which are those classic Final Fantasy images from like all the Final Fantasies, right? And then he shoots another confetti orb at Yuffie, which then like changes her clothes into some bright green, like classic Japanese.
She's like in a cut-off kimono.
Yeah, that's a great way to explain it. It's like a cut-off kimono.
Yeah, with a fan.
So it's clearly Japanese, like inspired, right? Or Wu-Tai inspired, because I think Wu-Tai is kind of like Asia, in like classic Asia in some ways, right? And she's happily pulled up on stage to dance with a bunch of dancer girls. But then Aerith and Tifa are pulled up to dance with her, where the three of them just happen to be in like perfect sync, and they're quite skilled at dancing, while like Barrett and Cloud and Red just kind of watch from the sidelines looking confused, which, to be honest, I was with them. Like, I was looking like them too. But so the girls are dancing, but then they can't just let the ladies have all the fun. So then a group of men performers kick in with their own singing and dancing, led by none other than, you mentioned it earlier, Andrea. And then it becomes this little like battle of the sexes dance off, complete with like random male crotch grabbing.
Yeah, it was almost like a scene from Thriller, live on stage, like a Michael Jackson type performance.
I would not go that far.
I mean, okay.
I love Thriller. Let's not put those in the same category.
Look, we had Red do the moonwalk earlier, right? So like I was like, okay, they're just carrying the motif through.
The crotch grabbing, that's a Michael Jackson thing that everyone carries into their dances, right? It all goes back to Michael Jackson. But I was like, why are these people crotch grabbing? Whatever. But then like the ladies.
Jolie the prude.
I am such a prude. You guys know that I've already said so. I'm a self-admitted prude. I am. I have high moral standards.
They're just dancing. They're just, feeling the moment.
But they have to animate this, and they chose to animate crotch grabbing, which I'm like, okay, again, part of dance. It's fine, whatever.
Yeah, I can imagine when they brought the like instructions to the animators and they're like, and they have to grab their crotches.
They have to crotch grab.
And the animators are like,
this is essential.
Okay.
How many more times can we say crotch?
Yeah.
Well, the last episode has been boobs, so now we're going into crotch. So
there you go.
to let the algorithm work it out.
It's only fair.
We're going to get flame for this one too. Yeah, there you go.
So the ladies' side of dancers at this point is led by Yuffie in her green cutoff kimono. And she gets in Andrea's face and says, "Nice try." You know, they have like this little dance off, to which Andrea backs off in defeat and tells her that the floor is all hers.
Nice try.
The floor is all yours.
To which, no way. No way that Yuffie would be Andrea in a dance off, by the way. But anyway, so then the girls laugh, they dance some more, they high five, they're so excited, this fun party. And then the lights dim and the men start rapping as like the buggy, this red buggy that we saw kind of hinted at, drives out with this big, hairy bodybuilder flexing on top of it. And then he also joins the dance, and like the women in the crowd like fawn all over him and freak out, right? So he blows them a kiss while the male dancers do crotch thrusts.
And let me tell you,
stop with the crotches.
It's not me putting them in.
I know.
I'm just pointing them out. They're doing crotch stuff in their dances. Like male dancers could do more than crotch thrusting and crotch.
That's all we know how to do.
and the best part is when he comes in and he's like the buggy and everything, I'm like, now, remember, he hasn't introduced himself yet, but obviously if you've played the older one, you know his name is...
You know his name is Dio.
Dio. And so like when I first ran across the name, immediately the first thing that comes to mind is Ronnie James Dio.
I have no idea who that is.
Every time you tell us, do we know who that is? I'm usually like, no.
Is he similar at all, or does he just have the same name? Like, is he a bodybuilder?
He's not a bodybuilder, but he's one of the most prolific singers of like all of rock history, rock and metal.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely to be with you today.
I mean, he had his own band named Dio for a while, Rainbow. He was a lead singer for Black Sabbath for a while Ozzy was off doing his own thing. He's amazing.
Does he have any parallels to the Dio character, though?
He's a performer and a showman, right? So, like, not a big, like, bodybuilder dude, but...
He's not the size of Barrett in a mountain.
Was he popular in the 90s, by chance?
Yes, but more so earlier than that.
Okay. Maybe that's where this Dio got his name.
Every time I see that guy come out, the first thing that comes to my mind is Ronnie James Dio, and like just the showmanship of even this Dio was like just so over the top. Combined with like the other thing, remember, this is the 90s, right? The 90s was also the peak, I would say, of like the WWF and the wrestling culture. On the nose 90s.
Yeah, which makes sense because this game was developed in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like the original version. And Dio does exist in the original game, and he is like a bodybuilder kind of WWF kind of wrestler kind of look as well.
Literally, the boots up to like his calves, the tiny little like Speedo and the cape, that was like peak 90s wrestler right there.
But the cape wasn't in the original game, actually.
No, but they added it here.
He was just the Speedo guy, like a muscle man Speedo guy walking around. And he had no cape. And I love that they actually added the cape to Dio. I think it's so good.
It was so good, yes.
Yeah, he's so over the top. And mostly in a good way, I would say Dio is.
Oh, in an amazing way.
There are things I really like about Dio, and then there are other things that I'll get to later in this chapter that were like a little bit mishmash for me. But yeah, they throw a cape on him, and in this scene, he's like doing all the poses and the flexing, and the girls freaking out, and then like Yuffie is like watching him flex while these women scream, but then she like covers her eyes and he flexes and she passes out.
She passes out. I put a comment about that in my notes. The fact that she passed out from it was just like, that is the moment where you jump the shark.
Right. Okay.
Right? Or you jump the refrigerator or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but I think the shark was jumped long before that. But there is some shark jumping with her passing out for sure. But then the strong man, who we know is Dio, he's lifted up by these male dancers, and that's when he sees Cloud. And okay, now before we move on to the interaction with Dio and Cloud, I do have to give my opinions on this big dance number we just witnessed.
Let's get this party started!
So, okay, I have mixed opinions on this opening dance number, which means I didn't hate the whole thing, but I kind of did. Now, let's start with the things that I liked about it, because I don't want to be like that Debbie Downer, but you know, we got to be honest on this podcast. And I love that Ernest loved it because I think most people who just play this game are going to be like, that was awesome. I loved it. Yeah. And then I'm here to be like, I'm going to dissect it and tell you why it sucks. You know, who's like super annoying, like that movie critic friend that you have that you're like, I just like the movie.
Yeah. In the background, while this whole thing's going on, all I'm hearing is living in America. I feel good. Like this is just like James Brown on stage. I love the whole thing end to end. So
hey,
go ahead and bring us down, Jolie. Bring us down.
Each their own. Okay. So I like the idea. The idea of having an opening dance like welcome number to welcome us to this new environment. This is like a celebratory kind of place, right? And music numbers are fun. And it would make sense that a place like this would have musical performances in various locations. It also breaks things up a bit. After all, we just heard that like really sad, sorrowful tale of Shinra burning down an entire town with innocent people. And I personally like love dance numbers in general. Spencer will tell you, I love dance. Like watching good dancers.
Her favorite thing in the world is going to like Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil.
The Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil that we saw in Vegas was like your favorite thing that you've ever seen.
That was the greatest piece of entertainment I have ever witnessed. I was so into it.
It's Michael.
Because all of those people are like, they're literally consummate performers. They're all about their art. They know what they're doing.
But it was so good. And like, I love music. Performing arts is a big part of my life, watching it and participating in it on a much smaller scale than Cirque du Soleil. A sky of scattered tears, 1,000 years apart. Should they fade, I will not be afraid of the dark. So I love the idea of having something like that when you get here. That said, okay, so the tone for this dance for me was just weird. And so it's clear that this is trying to be the Honeybee Inn number of Rebirth. That's what they want to be, but it doesn't quite hit the mark for me. They even bring Andrea in, right? As like, hey, it's Honeybee Inn part 2, you know? But even he's like beat in a little dance off by Yuffie in like a matter of seconds. So so there were a lot of reasons. Let me first say, there are a lot of reasons why the Honeybee Inn scene worked so well for me. So first of all, it was a reimagined homage play to the original game, right? And it had an extensive like lead up and practice time. And not only was it like a thrill to see stone-faced Cloud dance like a professional on stage against his will, I might add. The joke was that tough guy Cloud was actually dancing. That was the joke. That was why it was funny. And he was doing a pretty dang good job at it, right? It was over the top for the sake of being over the top. While at the same time, it was actually a pretty awesome spectacle. And it was also a mini game, right? So there was a mini game that we're participating in at the same time. It had like the stage, the lights, the performers who belonged to that environment. And Cloud was this hilarious fish out of water forced to do something he never wanted to do, but he's really good at, which is dance, right? So there's a lot of other reasons why the scene worked for me well, but those are the ones that come to mind at the top of my head. But in contrast, this gold saucer scene it's kind of out of the blue. There's no lead up to it. A bunch of performers just come out of nowhere, and before we know what's going on, the girls from our party are dancing like this is their profession, but there's no fish out of water humor to entice us. It's just kind of like, I guess our girls can dance and dance well enough to be better than Andrea, who's a professional dancer.
And in perfect sync with the other backup dancers. Like they've been doing this for months.
Yeah, which to me, because it's not part of the joke, it feels unearned. And I know people will say, well, lighten up and just accept it.
Totally.
And that's probably what I should do. And if that was the only issue, then I'd be like, whatever. But it just doesn't feel like it's trying to be funny either. And then like, while the game doesn't take itself too seriously, and we often like accept things that we wouldn't normally accept in like a realistic kind of movie plot or something, it just felt a little weird to me. Like it just felt weird. And for me, I felt like, I feel like the dance number doesn't know what it wants to be, right? Is this a performance at like Final Fantasy Disneyland, or is this Final Fantasy Las Vegas? Because the gold saucer itself, once you get past this, is Final Fantasy Disneyland, right? But this, they're trying to be a mix of Disneyland and Las Vegas, like a mix of them, which for anyone who knows Vegas and Disneyland, that's not really possible. Like here you've got character mascots, balloons, plushies, rides for children, introduced by crotch thrusting dancing and Yuffie passing out and muscle flexing. So, like, if you take the song lyrics, there's a song, right? Mm-hmm. The song is called Bare Your Soul. That's the name of the song that plays during this whole thing, which feels like it wants to be Vegas without being, like, blatantly dirty and sexual as Vegas, when it's really the sexualization that makes Vegas Vegas. So instead it falls into this weird, like, no man's land. This is obviously like a deep dive dissection that, like, most humans are like, get over it and move on. But whatever, let's just go.
No, I agree with you. Mine is not this in depth, but I agree with a lot of the points you're making.
Okay, so maybe I'm not alone. I don't know. So, like, the women sing the lyrics. I just want a king to get on his knees, grovel for me, go on, get down, move your body or get out.
I just want a king to get on his knees, grovel for me, go and get down. Move your body or get out. Move your body or get out.
And then the chorus repeats, bare your soul and get down tonight. Feel the heat, take the chance, dance. And it's all about, like, it's innocent enough, but it's like about throwing your cares away to basically dance and do what you want, which is not a big deal. But again, it's trying to be like a clean Vegas, which is a thing that doesn't really exist for many understandable reasons.
Look, what happens in the gold saucer stays at the gold saucer.
No, that's not how this works. It's not that way. Okay, so, like, in Vegas, you can find plenty of kid-friendly, like, family things to do.
The kids don't ever want to talk about their experience at the club. Whatever happened here stays here,
Shut
kids.
up.
Do not talk about the Tonberry mascots.
Don't tell them about the plushie you bought.
Don't talk about the fun space ride.
I know. I'm being kind of ridiculous. Like, understand.
No, you're not. I agree with you.
I know. Jolie's like, you walk in a kid, you leave a man at the gold saucer. That's how this works.
See, I don't know if that's what they're trying to do in this song, you know? But then, okay, and then from a practical filmmaking side of things, the sound mixing was off. Like, there's not enough cheering in the crowd. There's, like, one or two here or there to, like, justify the spectacle. So it feels really thin. And that just adds to this overall, like, odd kind of feeling in watching. So honestly, I can't really put my finger on all the reasons this dance scene didn't hit the mark for me. It just felt kind of weird.
Yeah.
I think it was just a combination of a lot of awkward paper cuts that resulted in an overall awkward death for me or something. So, like, props for the idea.
It's death by 1,000 cuts of weirdness.
Yeah, but it's like there's not, like, one thing that you're like, oh, you know, but it just felt odd to me. That doesn't mean I hated it.
I wouldn't get rid of it. But I'm glad it's there.
I wouldn't either.
That's, like, seems to be a theme for some of the stuff. I'm like, I'm glad it's there if I had the choice, right?
Right.
I would make some changes, but we live in a post-remake world.
Think you can follow my lead?
I agree with you about the Honeybee Inn 100%. That's what I have in my notes. It's like they want to recreate the Honeybee Inn, but they do it...
But they're forcing it.
Yeah, they do it unsuccessfully. So just to kind of piggyback off some of the points that you made, the stakes are high. Why is Cloud dancing with Andrea Rodea? He has to talk to Chocobo Sam, Madam M, and Andrea, right? He has to get the approval of, like, the main people of Ball Market in order to go see Don Corneo. So the stakes are already there. The mission is to get to Don Corneo, save Tifa.
And the song is part of the story and the mission.
Yeah.
It's like a part of that.
But so this is all part of it. And then you finally get, like, you go to the Honeybee Inn. They're like, you're not going to be able to see Andrea Rodea for months. It's never going to happen. And then I don't think there's a better moment in Remake that hits better than the Honeybee Inn dance sequence. I think that universally, I mean, people love the combat. People love, you know, Sephiroth and all the stuff. But for just pure joy, fun, and excitement, they set the bar so high in Remake that then here comes the Gold Saucer. And Gold Saucer, there's all this expectation. You know, everyone's excited for it. And then they just kind of throw you into this dance number. And it just feels chaotic. It feels directionless. There's no stakes. Like, why is there this dance battle? We want some of that Remake energy, so we're going to bring in Andrea, and then it's going to lose. Yuffie just has this outfit that she can actually wear. You know how, like, you can...
Yeah, they give you a little notification afterwards. It's like, this is now available.
You've obtained a new outfit or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're just giving it to Yuffie. Okay, like, it's fun. I kind of have a lot of this thought. Like Rebirth is so blown out, and I feel like Remake was a lot more focused.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They really hit the nail on the head there, and then they have this other scene. And then on top of it, it's like, well, Cloud's the main character, so Dio shows up, and then we're going to just have him be the star again, and everyone watches him for like some reason because he's the main character. But I agree with you. I just don't think it hits as well, but it's
like it's unearned.
It is unearned, and it's just there to be flamboyant and fun and kind of outrageous and over the top.
Right.
But I totally agree with your takes. I don't think they earned it, and I don't think they reached the highs that they did at the Honeybee Inn.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, yeah. But I'm glad, Ernest, that you liked it.
Man, I loved it.
This is good.
Nice try.
The floor is all yours.